Let's try this and see if this is go live, which is a second. Oh, you are seeing the cable. Oh no, that's not good. This is what happens when you don't get a webcam and you use your phone to do your own streams. Right, just a second. I need to test that out a little bit the sound because I have noticed an issue with the sound on the games that I've streamed before. Games were suddenly had a very low value. So I don't want that to happen, alright, so I might need to try it out in here. So, welcome guys, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. For today, what I do have in here is a game that it won't be for the majority of the people, me included. This is not really my type of game. But I think it's interesting to benchmark a little bit the game. I already tried a little bit, and I'm not surprised with the performance, alright. This is Call of the Wild, the Youngward. This is just a simulation game about fishing. And yeah, this is what you can expect. It will be a very calm, probably relaxed game. And I thought it was interesting because this is developed by the Expansive Worlds, the same developers behind Call of the Wilds, the guys behind the hunting simulator. And well, they just released a fishing simulator using the Avalanche engine, the engine behind the Just Cause engine. So it's probably just very interesting. Let me check it out the audio and see how it goes. Just a second. Yeah, it seems to be working properly. Probably I will just reduce a little bit the value of the game. Just a second about it. Let me just close this. We don't want this. Just a little bit, not that much, because I think it's going well. All right. So first of all, I already tried a little bit about the game, and it doesn't surprise me at all the performance levels that I'm getting in here. But this is the type of game, if you are going for the 60 frames per second, you will need to make some sacrifices that I wasn't really expecting. Alright, so I will just proceed with this. Let me just hide MS Afterburner. We don't want it in here right now. And for the video settings, this might sound surprising to you. I'm playing at 1080p. That is only a borderless or windowed mode. This is wrong. I'm not at 4K, don't worry. And I'm using VSync, which I will disable for this video. And this is my recommended graphical settings. It is just for you to use the median settings because visually it seems a very good balance between quality and performance. But if you want to get 60 frames per second locked the majority of the time, you will need to play with 68 resolution scale, which means you will be playing at 720p upscaled to 1080p, just using the regular TAA upscaled that Avalanche have in its engine, which we don't know. This is not FSR, this is not any of those things, right? But using median settings, it really delivers you the majority of the stuff. And I'm surprised with the quality of the upscaling that they are using in here. And in fact, since the game doesn't offer too much movement, it's just a fishing game, you don't move too much stuff around. TAA does an excellent job on this game. Alright, it will certainly look much higher resolution than 720p. But like I said, this video will be for 1080p low settings, alright? It won't be for... the start of the video will be for 1080p low settings, so let me change the OBS in here to represent what we are going for. So, 1080p low settings it is. This is really the settings we want to go to start with. No upscaling at all, right? No shabby techniques or something going on. Alright, so let's start with 1080p low settings with 100% resolution scaling. This is the regular low settings, no motion blur at all. I will just change this probably to FXAA because I will see why. Alright, but let's start with low. Let's just start this out. Alright, let's start on the new reserve available. Oh, this is another map? Download a new reserve. Full of new fishes. No, I'm just going for the Golden Ridge reserve to start with. I won't be downloading anything. Alright, and let's get into it. I will open MS Afterburner now, because we need these statistics to have an idea about the performance. But always remember, I'm recording in here, and these have a huge impact in the performance. Alright, so without recording, performance might be better, like 5 frames, 7 frames per second. So it's important for you to have an idea. There's a lot of light in here. Let's just do kind of this too. Alright. So I'm getting like 55 frames per second in here. And this is low settings 1080p. Alright. And one of the strange things I immediately notice is the VRAM consumption. The game is using 4 GB of VRAM. And even with medium settings, I didn't add any issues with textures or anything. But honestly, I wouldn't go above low. First of all, because texture resolution on low, it is actually pretty good. And this is pretty much in all objects. As you can see in here, I have seen worse objects with textures on low than on this game. Why the hell I pick up a barrel? Oh, that's another thing. Alright. That's collectibles. And if you notice to this quality, low textures, it is really pretty good. So you can play with medium textures, high textures, ultra textures. I didn't notice any difference too much in quality or VRAM usage, but I don't want to stress my GPU, so I will probably just keep it up the low textures. Alright. But as you can see, 1080p, low settings. That is apparently no screen space reflections, as you can see. Oh, well, I'm wrong. That is, right? There is some reflections in here that you can notice when you overview the mountains over there, and when you just look down, you lose those reflections. So screen space reflections are being used in here. But if you want to have 1080p and go with absolutely minimum settings, because you can go lower than this, alright? You can, for example, let me see, texture quality no, shadow quality no, geometric detail no, vegetation no. Alright, but you can disable screen space reflections, for example, if you want. Alright, so this is the lowest settings you can go. And by doing this, you lose all your screen space reflections. You are just using it's not bitmaps that is called. I think it's bitmaps. I don't know. Kind of missing the world. But this is the absolutely minimum settings you can go with at 1080p. You can always be disabling UBSing if you want to. And we are not getting 60 frames per second, but mostly this is because of OBS being recording. Without recording, you can get above 60 frames per second. Keep that in mind. It's important for you to know that this live stream is consuming a little bit of frames, alright? And at the absolute lowest settings, we will be getting above 60, alright? Not all the time though, but keep that in mind. Alright, this was absolutely minimum settings, but if I would go to low settings, I would probably use, honestly, I would probably use TAA. Whatever, if you think that TAA is fine or not, for me it makes everything so much more stable. There is a lot of ghosting though. For example, if I pull my rod in here, you can notice a lot of ghosting going on by the hook. There is a lot of ghosting going on. Something that without TAA, for example, you don't see. But honestly, yeah, just go with TAA because, see, well, in fact, there is surprisingly some ghosting going on. Alright, that's weird. Alright, 46 frames per second. Alright. Keep in mind that this game have a day and night cycle, a very long one. Alright. So 45, 48 frames per second. This is with the lowest settings possible, no global illumination. Nothing is being used in here. This is the absolutely lowest. And honestly, it does look awesome. Despite this is the absolute lowest. This is actually amazing. Yeah, you can notice there is no screen space reflections. You can notice there is no SSAO. But I mean, it does look good. Alright, so during this live stream while recording, I can't have 60 frames per second while using the lowest settings. But this is a fishing game, 60 frames per second is not really necessary, so your mileage may vary, your demands may vary, so this is just the results that I have. So if you want to really have 60 frames per second, I would recommend you to go with probably, let's see, if I go with 83%, this is 900p upscale to 1080p, using the internal upscale of the game. And if I do this, well, yeah, you have now 60 frames per second. Without recording, probably this is 70, so you have a lot of overhead in here that you can, you see, that you can experiment on. So, alright, so it's, yeah, it did drop in here a little bit. But yeah, it's going pretty nice. One thing that I'm doing at the same time with OBS that might be penalizing the performance, let me just try it out, because we are always learning, alright? So, I'm also recording in the background because I want to do something different with this, but this is probably penalized a little bit the performance. As you can see, I got 2 extra frames, and if I disable preview on OBS, I also get an extra part of frames. So yeah, this helps with the performance. So if you are live streaming with OBS, this helps. Still, even doing this will still I'm live streaming, so this actually penalty the performance. Nonetheless, again, 83% of resolution scaling and absolutely low settings delivers you comfortable experience at 60 frames per second on the start of the game. Alright, so this is something that you should know. But like I said, this is going to be a very quick test. I haven't showed on anything about the gameplay, but I will move on now to median settings, because this is the settings that I find it more interesting. Alright, so I will change it to median, put the native resolution in here. Let me change OBS though. I need to activate this, go to settings, and just change in here to median settings. Alright, I will close this off. Alright, median settings. I'm having like 40 frames per second on this area. I'm not sure where I did start the game, but I believe that without recording, when I did start the game, I was having like 40s, somethings, 50s, but I think this area is actually more demanding because there is actually more vegetation going on in here. But I can try to find a place where I did start the game, if you want. I don't know where I was, but I believe it was near a lake.
Lovely afternoon for a fish.
Yeah,
or perhaps right. A purchase? There's still more to buy. Come back.
Yeah, sure. No worries. So, I think it was in here. It was near a house. It was near in here, I guess. No, it wasn't supposedly in here. But damn, the game looks good. Oh no, this is not the walking sim. Yeah, I don't remember where I did start, but I mean, something like this. So using median settings actually give you screen space reflections, which reflects everything that you have on screen, so you can see the clouds being reflected on the screen space reflections. This is volumetric clouds. It's a kind of demanding cloud thing being used. Shadows are cool. There is enough draw distance for vegetation. I think it's, honestly to say, this is pretty good. And for the textures, this is median textures. It still looks awesomely fine to me. Alright, you can notice some of, yeah, low resolution textures being used in this bridge, but I'm not sure if at Ultra it is any better at all. But as you can see, performance is 40 frames per second. And before this live stream, I was having actually 60 if I did use 720p upscale to 1080p. So if you want 60 frames per second in here, this should be more or less a match to 720p upscale to 1080p if you want. So by doing this, well, I'm not getting 60, I'm getting like 55 or something, but without live streaming you can get your 60s in here. It might not be a lockdown 60 frames per second in all moments, but it will be for the majority of the time above 60 frames per second. One of the things that I do notice with this upscaler is I notice a lot of shimmering in some plants like in here. I'm not sure if you can see this on the video, but there is shimmering going on. It is having issues reconstructing this kind of stuff, and also there is some shimmering with the smoke. I'm not sure if you can see through the trees. There is this weird issue going on. It looks like an E-Tace, alright, but it's putting it forward than the tree. I can check if this is an issue with the upscaling by not using upscaling, alright? If I do this. Yeah, it's still visible, but not at the same extent. But the foliage, I mean, these issues with the trees are still present, but much less, alright? So, all these issues appear, but with a lower resolution scaling being used, it is way more noticeable, alright? That's the thing we should know. Yeah, it's much more block here. You can clearly notice that something is going on, alright? But by using these level of resolution scaling and by using median settings, you can have your 60 frames per second the majority of the time. Although, yeah, again, during this live stream, this is not something that it's going to happen. So I need to read these instructions in here. Set hook dip lower. Well, this was a tutorial at first, so I don't really read too much of the stuff. But what I do know is that I can decrease... Oh yeah, I can decrease... How lower the depth will be. Somebody's fishing? Yeah, because this game gets an online... Can be online, I mean, you start fishing and you can meet other people in here and fish with you, which is kind of an interesting thing since this is a game that is so boredom. But yeah, let's do some fishing in here. I just want to see some fish, but I don't see any. Okay, let's try to do some fishing. Let's put this depth very low. Let's put it and let's throw it. And let's see how it goes. There is no fish in here. Let's move. This is a game that obviously requires patience. Oh, here we go. Then you have this red bar which you need to control. You can put more force into the string or less force. If you put too much, it will break. Yeah, there it is. This is what I got. Very nice. And let's see what the instruction says. Set the hook dip higher. Yeah, I need to put very high. Catch a fish by float fishing. What is that? Float fishing. Float fishing by float fishing. I mean, float fishing might be when you throw your fish at the surface level. Not your fish, but your hook. Not sure if that's what they are trying to say in here. I can pull over it. Oh, strike too early. I'm sorry. My bad. Let's retrieve. Let's change position, maybe, I don't know. I don't see any fish. Let's try in there. Oh. One of the issues with this TA solution is the level of ghosting. You can clearly see that there is a lot of ghosting going on. So if you don't like ghosting, this will be an issue, honestly. Here we go. Oh no. Let's put more force, more grip. Here we go. Bronze, alright. Half free bronze ranked fishes unlock achievement. Here we go. Well done! You have learned about float fishing, baits and hook depth. The next class covers hook sizes and building your own rig. It will be available upon completion of a challenge. Mission complete. Taylor Tackle Academy beginner class. Challenge, I mean. Now there is a new challenge. Catch 5 fishes. So yeah, this is all about fishing. You have like a very big map. Alright, you can travel to. But yeah, this was median settings using 68% of resolution scaling, which should be equivalent to 720p. But you have to agree with me. We have been playing like this at the moment and it does look good, right? Right? It does look good. But if I put it natively to 1080p, you get like 40 frames per second. Obviously it does look much more sharper, but 40 frames per second, which in my opinion it's okay. It's more than okay if you ask me, because honestly the game doesn't really require you to have 60 frames per second in order to play this. So yeah, there's that. So next stop will be high settings. Let's go. So let me change OBS, because yeah, let's go to high settings in here. Here we go, high settings. And let's change it. Oh, let me remove this for extra performance. And let's put it on high and see how it goes. High settings. And oh boy. It's pretty much the same performance. So if you can do median settings, it seems that you can do high. I'm not really sure what it does change between median and high, but we can check it out if you want. Texture quality does be anisotropic, textures, SSAO, shadows, and vegetation quality gets raised. Also screen space reflections quality and water detail gets raised. But I mean, performance level, it is the same, isn't it? I mean, we are getting, yeah, probably near the water is a little bit more demanding, as I can see, but high settings 1080p does deliver a 30 frames per second experience or above. Without live streaming, probably 40, low 40s or something, without a doubt. If we need to get 60 frames per second using high settings at 1080p, probably if we put it at 720p upscaled to 1080p, let's see how it goes. Yeah, it's not too much different from median settings. Median settings and high settings does have a very similar frame rate in this game. Either I need to restart the game or I simply don't know. It's very close performance between median and high. And honestly, I don't notice too much of a difference, alright? It seems like it's just a small refinement compared to, I mean, between median and high. But let's go with native 1080p high settings, and let's catch some fishes in here. I'm not sure if I can catch any fish at any place, but I really want to try it out. So let's see if I can trade my baits to something different. We can try this. A different bait, as you can see. Let's see if we can catch fish outside of the fishing spots, just to have an idea. Yeah, I can see some fish in there. I'm pointing with the rod. I saw some movement in there. I think there is some... Whoa! I think we see some differences when water detail is set to high. So this might be a good idea to keep water detail on high. So no fishings. No fish. Let's retrieve it. Alright. Yeah, there is some details in here, some blur effects, which is cool. So there is another fishing spot in here, which is cool. Let's try our buck this time around. Let's relax a little bit with this. Oh no, 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 I'm going to break the line. No, no. So we need to reduce or increase the force that we make. The fish is going away, we are not making too much force, as you can see. It's 13 meters and it's going away, it's not working, it's not working. It's going to break the line. Oh damn, this is going to be hard. 14 minutes, it's getting away or it's going to break my line. I don't know what should I do, but it's clearly going away and I'm going to break the line. Oh, snapped. Alright. Yeah, this was 1080p high settings, alright, so let's change it. Let's try ultra settings and see how it goes, alright. I think we can do that this time. Alright, so let's change OBS. By the way, if I start recording, yeah, I was like, oh no, 2 frames per second by doing this, by recording at the same time as live streaming, or even more. See, yeah, I might need to do separate videos from the live streams. I'm still finding my best way of doing some benchmarks, some quick benchmarks, but live streaming seems to be fun, at least for me. Even if nobody's watching, nobody comments or anything, it's still interesting nonetheless. I like to do this stuff. Alright, so high settings, not great, not terrible, like the other guy said. Let's change the settings. Alright, so this time around, let's try 1080p ultra settings. And let's see how it goes. So 1080p ultra settings. Let's change these settings, alright, to wide. And as you can see again, there isn't really too much of a difference regarding performance. It's just small refinements over the other settings. I mean, performance is almost the same between medium and high. Even the both settings, it isn't really too much of a difference. So this is not really a very scalable game. It's a game where your performance will be almost the same whatever the setting you choose, because look at this, we are having 30 frames per second. Look at this place, right? If I go to the lowest preset, alright, if I go to the lowest preset in here without messing around with resolutions or any stuff like it, I'm having 52, right? And it's clearly worse. In both settings it is clearly worse, right? That's, and you can even go lower by disabling, you know, by disabling screen spacer factors. But median settings, for example, it starts to look acceptable visuals wise, and you have like 40 frames per second. So the biggest difference in performance is probably between low and medium. And median settings gives you a respectable graphics, in my opinion. Median settings, it is good enough for me for this card. You can try to go high if you want, but median settings looks good. Actually, there was a big change in colors. I believe this is related to global illumination. Let me see if this is it. Actually, no. Global illumination is doing something, but I always have trouble to find global illumination working in this type of games. But yeah, colors did change a lot from median to low. There was really some difference in colors. Look at this. It's weird. Probably it's the lightning. I mean, probably it's shadows and SSAO make all the difference in here. But it seems it's every color is just different for some reason. I need to try to find that setting that is responsible for that, because I'm really curious about it at the moment. It is SSAO, probably it is. Yeah, SSAO makes a huge difference in shading, but still, it isn't it, because it was disabled, right? The only thing that comes to mind is, it's probably volumetric fog. Some games it makes a huge difference. It's not. What am I doing in here with this video? I was supposed to be trying ultra settings. No. Right? Screen space of water detail shouldn't affect that. Depth of field neither. There is really some difference in colors, and I don't understand where it's coming from. Is it shadows? What the hell is going on? What makes that big difference in quality? It's good even not anisotropic filtering. This only improves the angles of the textures. But there is really something that does change when we put the game on median. Actually, no. Probably the sun was behind a cloud or something. And look at that mountain. I mean, Avalanche engine. It's just great when it comes to these visuals. We are now in a shadow. This is working so properly. I need to get out of this place. Alright, but let's go back to the settings that I was actually trying, which is ultra settings. Let's go with ultra. And by going with ultra, what we get is, well, 30-ish frames per second. Yeah, probably 30 frames per second. It is enough. Without streaming, without live streaming, alright, you will be getting 60 frames per second for sure. I mean, 30 frames per second for sure. Stable. No drops. I'm almost pretty sure about it. Yeah, the sun is behind a cloud, and that's really causing a big shadow. As you can see now, the sun is coming by again. It's not being obscured by a cloud. And everything is so sunny again and beautiful. I mean, art style is everything sometimes, but the game does look good. Yeah, despite it's a game that you won't be doing anything special. Oh, here goes our drop to 28. Again, without live streaming, this probably runs fine. But yeah, this was the tests for the 4 main presets of the game. And let's try to up a little bit the resolution. And for doing that, I need to change some settings of the screen. Alright, so let's do this, right? Let's do Alt F4, exit the game. And let's change this to 1440p, because the game uses borderless. You can really personalize the resolution, alright? And we need to raise a little bit MS Afterburner, because it's going to be very, very small at this resolution. And let's see how it goes. 1440p. Oh, now it's too big. Let's go with settings. 1440p.
What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here?
This type of games usually makes me think of something like, who the hell plays this? If I want to play a fishing game, if I don't have the opportunity of going fishing because it's expensive, I don't have anyone to go with, or it's not fun in real life, why not go fishing in real life? Get your own rod, get your own lines, and try it out. Yeah, it is faster probably to catch a fish than going in real life and waiting for hours, but still, it's a type of game that you should... Probably what you are doing in here, you should be doing in real life. Probably the view that you're getting, it's not going to be the best, or even compared to this, but still. I mean, Call of the Wild, the regular game, which is hunting, I do understand. You might not have a gun. Well, you might not have a fishing rod either, but I think it's more easier to get a fishing rod than getting a gun and a license and everything. I don't know. Maybe I'm being dumb in here. Alright, this is 1440p, absolutely low settings. And there is flickering all over the place because FXAA. And this is again something that I always prefer to use TAA because I cannot go back to regular anti-aliasings anymore. And by going with low settings, we are getting 30s, 40s, right? Probably without live streaming, and again, probably without live streaming, you will get like 45, 44, right? No issues. Well, now the weird thing is that it says to catch a fish. I haven't catched any yet, that's the thing. I'm a little bit surprised I haven't catched one, but I will try to catch one, right? Right? Let's get it. Let's get the damn fish. So even at 1440p, TAA causes ghosting on the rod, so it's something that it's not going away. Probably if the game supported DLSS for newer Nvidia cards, probably it was a little bit better. But yeah, it's a regular TAA. I'm not going to catch a fish. Let's pull this over. No fish. No fish. Oh, here we go. Come on. Let's put a little bit more pressure on the rod. It's coming anyway. It doesn't seem a big fish. Yeah, it's a small one. It's a whack crappie. It's a crap. It's a very small one. I think I will die starving if I don't get bigger fishes. But yeah, I completed a little bit of one objective, and we did catch a fish nonetheless. All of this above 30 frames per second at 1440p TAA low settings. But like I said, low settings, you are really missing out of some things that I consider to be very important, like SSAO, volumetric fog, global illumination. We are missing out in a lot of stuff, and despite I don't really notice too much of a difference between global illumination or not, there are people that might actually notice that better than I do. Digital Foundry, I know. But let's go with median settings this time around. Alright, let me change this to median settings. Alright. And by going with this, we are already below 30 frames per second. Alright, so probably if you want to do this, you need to use resolution scaling a little bit for stability. So you might have like a 1440p screen and you want to play at 1080p resolution, but you don't want to change to 1080p. You want to use the built-in upscaler. So to do this, we just need to maths in here. So basically, if we do something like 1440, how much is 80% of 1440? This is higher than 1080p. So what if we do like 75? This is 1080p. So if you do 75% of 1440p, alright, if you do this, you will be playing at 1080p upscaled to 1440p. And by doing this, you get 40 frames per second. You are internally playing at 1080p, alright, none of the less, but it is upscaled to 1440p for your screen. So for some reason, if you have a 1440p screen and you are struggling with the performance, this is what you can do. But remember that I said that to get 60 frames per second at median settings at 1080p, I needed to use a resolution scaling to 720p. Well, to do this in this game specifically, you need to go something like 50% of 1440p, which in this case of this game, it is actually the minimum you can go for. The minimum resolution scaling is 50%, which matches 720p. But since it's upscaling, we are not getting the same level of performance as playing at 720p or 1080p drop down to 700, because upscaling is only good until a certain point, and honestly 1080p with resolution scaling set to 720p and upscale to 1080p does look better than playing at 1440p and use resolution scaling from 350%, which is the same resolution as 720p, because it seems that we are pushing this resolution scaling too much. This is the impression that I'm having. And we are getting worse performance. We are relying a lot on the upscaling solution. Right, so this is not the ideal thing to try to get 60. And we are not getting 60, so it's not a big deal. Possibly for stability and everything, use something like 75 or 80% of resolution scaling at medium. And if you ask me if I'm going to try high or ultra or anything, you know that there isn't really too much of a difference of performance. And I mean, the higher I put this setting, probably the lowest resolution scaling I will be using, so it doesn't really make too much sense to raise above median at 1440p in my opinion. Alright, so it's just not going to work at all. Alright, so 80, it just will give you above 30 frames per second, no questions asked, I guess, without live streaming, and that's about it. Now, what I want to do, honestly, it is to try 4K, but I doubt that 4K will be playable without relying a lot on the upscaling. So this is what I will be doing. I will move on to, first of all, let's do this. Oh, and I also have these activated, so yeah, this consumes like 1 or 2 frames. So if I put this at 4K, let's start with 4K and low settings. Let's change this to 4K. This is now very small. And raise resolution scaling to oh my god, resolution scale, no, UI size to near maximum of MS Afterburner. Right, and let's open, oh not this game, the other one. Now it's too big, but alright, I would just hide it a little bit. Apex Avalanche Open World engine. Yeah, this engine is awesome regarding visuals at a distance and stuff like that. Let's keep the account. It's too late at the moment. Alright, let's go with low settings. This time around is really 4K. Alright. So 4K, low settings. It's not the minimum ones you can go, keep that in mind. Let's go. Oh, now I've noticed live stream is not working properly. It was broken at 1440p. Let me just check it out. Something was weird. Oh my god, I had my 1440p live stream broken because I need to do stuff in OBS for this to resize properly. I'm so sorry about this. I didn't knew this. Right, so what I need to do, I'm so sorry. How can I do this? Let me just do something very stupid. I'm so sorry. Let me just disable my video a little bit. I'm sorry. I hate OBS, honestly. It's great and it is bad at the same time. Shit. What I need to do is possibly remove this. I'm so sorry. Again. Let's capture monitor. Yeah, it's still broken. Have I done this mistake in the past? Probably I have. I have done it. Yeah, adjust the screen. Oh my god. But it's possibly this. Let me just check it out. How it goes. Alright. So, hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry for the 1440p stream. I haven't noticed that it was broken. Yeah, I need to put some notes in this. Alright. Yeah, it's working now. So 4K this time around. 4K, low settings, and an astonishing beautiful 5 frames per second. Looks like a damn slideshow. It's amazing. I believe it's VRAM related. More than anything other. Because GPU power is like 40 watts. It doesn't make sense. Alright, we can try and go with the lowest resolution scaling possible. And see how it goes. Yeah, there we go. And it looks ugly as hell. And it's 10 frames per second. Yeah, just forget about 4K. Let's change to my favorite setting that I did used to play. Alright. And let's play like 10 minutes or something, just to have an idea of what this game is about. Alright. Let's just exit the game. Let's change to my favorite setting. Alright. And my favorite way of playing. Let me go to OBS to not make the same mistake. Alright. I don't want to do the same mistake. And I will be going to 1080p mid settings, and I will be using like 68% of 1080p. This is 720p upscale. It sucks, I know, but in my opinion, it is clearly the way to go, at least for me. So let me just adjust the screen just to make sure that the same mistake don't happen again. And let's play a little bit. I will put even a timer and everything, because at midnight I really need to go to bed. I need to work tomorrow. I need to go work tomorrow, and I will really wake up soon. Alright, let's just... Now it's too small.
What is it about your hobby that keeps you coming all the way out here?
It's fishing,
Is
man.
it the
Let's just skip. And let's put my favorite settings in here. I will be putting 68 median presets. I will put it 16 anisotropic filtering, because why not? It doesn't consume any performance at all, because we have enough bandwidth, so it's not going to affect anything. And by doing this, everything looks blurry as hell, but we get a very nice performance. Alright. And without live streaming, this is 60 frames per second, guaranteed. Alright, don't worry. It will be playing very fine. It's blurry, I know, but it does play really well. Another option in case you want to play at 30 frames per second. I think it's important too, because, like I said, this delivers 60, right? But if you want to play, for example, at the 30 frames per second locked and enjoy a much more crisp quality, I forgot about this. One of the solutions that you can do, if you have a 60 Hz screen or if you set it to 60 Hz screen, it's to do something like this. You can open your Nvidia control panel, which is in Portuguese, I know, and you can go to Program Settings, and you can add Call of the Wild, the Angler. And in VSync, for example, you can use adaptive half refresh rate. And for maximum frame rate, you can go with 30. Right. Pick up your gamepad after that, which I have 2 of them, and I believe if I press one of the buttons, I will enable Xbox instead. Ah, crap. I've turned on the Xbox. I just wanted to connect to my PC. Wait just a moment. Oh, come on. Oh, my TV just turned on because of the Xbox. Jesus. Alright, let's go to Call of the Wild again. And this will be 1080p. Instead of mid settings, you can use native resolution with 30 frames per second locked. So if you can't stand to play with 720p upscale to 60, this is a nice alternative if you have a gamepad. Alright, play at 30 frames per second. And honestly, regarding gameplay, you are not going to lose anything by playing at 30 frames per second. Like I said at the beginning, this is a fishing game. And honestly, for example, if you think about the consoles, the next generation consoles, I mean, actually they are the current now, PS5 and Xbox Series X, they do have a 60 frames per second mode, which plays at 1440p or something. Let me just put this at native. Let's put the game on high settings, in fact. Alright. This should be enough for 30 frames per second. Here we go. Let me change OBS again, I'm so sorry. If you go with 30 frames per second lock, you can go with high settings. I even dare to say that you can go with ultra. Alright. But like I was telling you, PS5, for example, it does lock at 30 or 60 frames per second, depends on the modes that you want. Also, this motion blur is just horrible because it's a camera motion blur. Don't use this, honestly. I know that the majority of the people turn off motion blur right off the bat, but honestly, I always like to keep it on because there are some very good implementations of motion blur, like per pixel per object motion blur. Ah, yeah, but playing without motion blur at 30 frames per second, it's something horrible. I have to say. It's horrible. Yeah, this game needs a better motion blur than this one, but it's hard to choose. When you play at 30 frames per second, it's really hard to choose between no motion blur or motion blur. Alright, but yeah, if you lock to 30, it's very easy to get your 30 frames per second. And like I was telling you, the Xbox Series S, for example, which is usually very comparable to our graphic card, but with more memory, it does run locked to 30 frames per second. I'm not sure about resolution or settings. I haven't tried the game yet on the Series S. And I also have an hard time to compare settings in here. But, how the hell do I pull my rod in here? It's like this, alright. Now, how the hell does this works with the... Oh, it's like this, alright. How do I focus? Yeah, playing my first time with gamepad this time. Just to walk to 30 frames per second. Whoosh! No, this is the crit strike. I'm sorry. Oh shit, I got scared. Quick retrieve. Okay. Let's try again, shall we? Let's put a little bit deeper, maybe. How do I throw it? It's like this. Yay! 20 meters away. Nice throw. Let's see if we can catch something. How do I pull the rod? Ah, it's like this. Alright. I'm getting the keys now. Alright, but like I was saying, the Xbox Series S just plays at 30 frames per second too, so... You are not getting a worse experience than the Series S in here. You are pretty much getting the same experience. This game doesn't have any stutter. Alright, it just works properly right off the bat. Let's put some force in here and let's pull. I want the fish in here. This one seems easy. It's coming. You see, 16 meters, 15 meters away. I can put all the force on the string. It's a very small fish. It's not challenging by any means. So playing this game at 30 frames per second or 60, honestly, it's the same thing. It's just obviously the movements are more smoother at 60. No questions asked, of course, regarding that. But it's perfectly playable. If you want to play at 30 frames per second because you don't want to reduce settings or anything, it's just there, you know. It's super playable. There is like 20% of the GPU still available, and I'm live streaming, so without live streaming there will be more GPU available. Alright, and the settings just works really well. One of the things that you should know about this game is that you can drive a car, you can drive a boat. Unfortunately, there is no third-person view of the boat or something like that, which is a little bit sad. How do I go to the ports? I want to ride a little bit the boat. I tried to ride a little bit with the boat and it says that I was leaving the map. I was hitting the limits of the map or something. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the game gave me the possibility of using the boat and then it just steals me away of it. Let's see if that was just a tutorial thing. Can I go? Oh yeah, this time around I can just go. Amazing. I can drive a boat in this game. The question is, can I stop the boat and change camera? This is the only thing you are going to get about the camera on the boat. Can I equip the rod? Oh yeah, I can fish from the boat. Change seat position. Yeah, I can fish from here. Yeah, interesting. Honestly. "20 meters away. Let's fish another fish. 85% of GPU usage. Yeah, I would probably use 30 frames per second locked like I'm using in here. Or probably the upscaled solution to 60 frames per second while using median settings. I think both of them are just fine. Oh, hello. No fish? Let's pull this a little bit. The only thing I don't like about this is the artifacts from screen space reflections. You can notice at the corner of the screen that white thing. That's why we need ray tracing to fix these kind of stupid things that happens with screen space effects. We are not going to catch a fish in here. I will just give up. Alright, and I will retrieve the boat back. Alright, return to seat. And I will drive a car. Because why not? 19% of GP usage. We haven't seen a single drop from 30 frames per second, a single stutter. So let's see if this game have any traversal stutters. It's interesting to see that a game that the majority of the people don't care about it, which is true, I'm sorry to say, but this is a fishing game. The majority of the people won't care about this game. The majority of the people that care about this game, they pick up their rod and go outside and go fish by themselves. They don't need a game for this. But yeah, it's a simulation, it's interesting. It's a little bit like the same thing of Euro Truck, but the Euro Truck, it's very hard to get a truck or a job or anything, but this is a fishing game. I don't know, it should be easy to get a rod and everything. Like I said before. Now I just want a car. I know that it was somewhere in here. I don't know exactly where. It's in here. You can get a car in here. And you can go and traverse a little bit of the game world. Here we go. This is our car in here. And again, we don't have a third-person camera. So I'm just going to use either this one or either this one. No, I'm just going to use a regular one. And I'm not sure. Yeah, we had a stutter now. But we are pushing high settings, and like I said before, even with low textures and everything, the game was already using the entire VRAM. But even over abusing by using high textures, that was the only stutter that I had. And I'm live streaming. So it's very stable. Very stable game. Surprisingly stable. It is a miracle. Oh. Driving experience is a little bit weird. Well, another stutter. Now, let me do something. If I do decrease textures to low, let's compensate with this instead. Do I get reversal stutters from now on? That's my biggest question. Oh, there is a tower there. Can I... Lookout tower. Can I go up there? We get like an Assassin's Creed something. Like overviewing the world around of us. So let's do this. Survey.
Golden Ridge Reserve. What's in the name, huh? Well, this
real?
one dates all the way back to the late 18th century. French trappers named the park Crête d'Or.
Beautiful landscapes. This reminds me of that benchmark, the valley. Reminds me a lot of that, but it's really beautiful. Now, 15 minutes have passed, and I wanted to drive a little bit more. Like to probably more dense woods or something. To try to understand how much demanding this gets when you have like a lot of shadows, or if I can break down my 30 frames per second locked. My 30 frames per second lock in here. This should be much more dense with much more foliage, so we might be able to put some strain on the GPU. But no, it's 90% while live streaming, so very stable. You can't break these 30 frames per second lock. You can't do that. It's just rocking stable. High settings, textures on low though. It's just for experience, because I was having like a traversal stutter. And for now it seems to be fine. There is these weird glitches sometimes. Yeah, this weird glitch. But no stutters. Textures on both it isn't really doing any traversal stutter. But even if you want to go with high textures, it's just that small stutter that happens every while and then when you are traversing. So, I mean, despite demanding, this is very well optimized game. Don't get me wrong, this is pretty good. Now I have a big question, which is, this is a fishing game. What the hell am I doing? Like, driving around the forests? I know the main game you can hunt animals, but I don't think that this is the purpose for this game. I know you can also do other stuff, probably like collect flowers or stuff like that. But I mean, if somebody is buying this game, it's for fishing, right? But yeah, you can go over the Utes. Oh, there is a lake in here. Probably I can go fish. We'll just get out. Yeah, there is a spot in there. Yeah, I will take the jeep there. Yeah, the map is huge, but how much stuff you have to do or something, it's not really that much. Oh no. Slow down, boy. Lake Zircon. Awesome stuff. There is shadows at a distance. Learn Halo Infinite Team. This is how you do distance in maps. You apply shadows. All the trees at a distance have shadows. Actually, those rocks there doesn't have any shadow, but even that further away we can see shadows, despite they might be faked or not. I don't know. There are shadows there. So I guess Halo needs to learn some stuff, and textures look absolutely gorgeous. So for these I say emotes. Oh yeah. Yeah, the characters though, they don't look really good, but I do understand. So I'm just going to fish a fish in here. Alright, I will do. Yeah, this water doesn't look that good in here. Oh, there is a fish there. That's for sure. I saw some movement in the water. Cast too slow. How the hell do I cast? Oh, it's like this, sorry. Come here, fishy. To go focus. Let's see what type of fish do I get in here. It's very far away. Have you seen it? 92% of GPU usage, 30 frames per second blocked. It's super fine. Yeah, this water is actually very dense. I don't think I will get a fish in here with this kind of hook. I don't know. Yeah, it's too far away. By the way, what happens if I have many questions. What happens if I pick up the jeep and throw it to the water? I think the game should prevent me from doing that, right? Right? This is a simulation game. Can I...
We're here to fish, not be fish.
Okay. Okay, yeah, there was a respawn. It's a respectable decision. So, honestly, I think that's all. I tried pretty much all the settings, and in my opinion, the best two settings for you to play with, it's either go with 30 frames per second, use high settings, decrease texture detail if you have stuttering, but I would just keep on high. But even at low, you saw the graphics were pretty good with textures on low anyway, so I would just use textures on low, none of the less. Or either that or this setting is not working. I honestly don't know. Or just use median settings if you want 60 frames per second and use 78% of resolution scaling. Yes, it will look blurry. but it will deliver you to 60 frames per second. But it won't be very useful. Like I said, this is the type of game that 30 frames per second is just fine. And the 1650 Super is not really that GPU that can handle 60 frames per second anymore at high settings and native 1080p. And it's not that the game is bad optimized or anything. We have seen very worse lately. The game just have good graphics. It just doesn't scale too much between settings. That's mostly the thing. Alright, so with this I think I will conclude this live stream. Hope you did enjoy it. I'm sorry for the 1440p issues. And that's all. Goodbye.